Welcome inside of Hartford All Access. She's Jennifer Rizzotti. I'm Brian Arizari in the friendly confines of Coach Rizzotti's office here. So we're going to do a season recap. A couple days of now have passed by since the UConn loss, and time to settle on in. But obviously, playing the number one team in the nation, you're able to take something from that to help the program grow.
Well, obviously, anytime you get the kind of national exposure that we got over the weekend and have a chance to tell our story and, show the state as well as the country that we were able to have a great end of the year and, kind of progress the way every coach dreams about, that you, with a young team, struggle maybe a little early, but find a way to be playing your best basketball. So, certainly it was a storybook ending for our seniors, I think, to make sure that they were able to go out with a championship as well as an NCAA bid and have a chance to play that one last time on TV.
We sat down at the midseason mark, asked you to give a grade to the team. At that point, you gave a B-. So at the end of the season, NCAA tournament, big turnaround, started 1-9, all that stuff. What grade did they get?
Well, obviously, anytime you play in the postseason, especially the NCAA tournament, you have to give your team an A. Obviously, if I look overall at the entire year, looking back in the preseason and looking back to how we were playing early, we certainly started well below that. But when you achieve that kind of success and your team plays like champions and they give the kind of effort that our team was given at the end of the year, I couldn't have asked for anything more.
You always we like to ask individual questions, individual player questions. I know you like to group people together, so we'll group down and let's break down each of the classes. Start off with the freshman class. I mean, you had Milana, you had Alyssa, you had Taylor. Individual of those players, they had to learn on the fly. But overall, what did you think about the freshman class coming in?
I was really happy with how quickly our freshmen actually transitioned into being able to help us this year. I didn't really look for any of them to be more than role players, and there were times where especially Alyssa and Taylor were much more than just role players for us, and they all got their chance to play this year. Milana got some run early when we had injuries, and Taylor had a stretch where she started a bunch of games in a row, and Alyssa had a lot of games in the conference where she played double-digit minutes, and I thought they all improved a lot. They were, regardless of their playing time, they were much better at the end of the year than they were early. So I definitely see a very bright future for that class.
Sophomore class, hands down, anybody that watched the program knows that was really the offense for the program. So just talk about them as a whole.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword there, because if I think about why we were 1-9, those are the four guys I'm going to blame. Okay. And if I think about how we won an America East Championship, those are the four guys I'm going to talk about. So they've known since they got here that their expectation level was going to be a little bit higher than most classes, and I knew we were going to live and die by them. Unfortunately, we died a lot more than we lived early in the year, but we had to kind of have the patience to let Ruth Ann work back from her injury and let Nakia work into a role where we were counting on her, after not really having to do that last year. And then we just had to let Daphne and Alex really find themselves and find a way to use their competitiveness and their drive as an asset. And it just took a long time. And I kind of knew it would take some time, but certainly them not being ready early in the year to do what they were able to do late in the year was a reason we started out slow. But if I had to point to, who were our best players down the stretch, certainly the four of their names would come out first.
Now the junior class, very small. Alicia Mathis, Keoka Mars-Garrick. Obviously, Keoka got injured in the Marist game, tried to come back, and then she was laid up with the ankle injury. And then Alicia sputtered for a little bit and had flashes of brilliance. So that's kind of an easy class, I guess, to identify since there's only two people.
Well, yeah, I feel for Keoka because I do think that she waited a long time for the opportunity to be a part of our group that was playing, and she was. I mean, and I told her that when she got hurt, because it was really discouraging for her, that she can look at it two ways. As she can feel sorry for herself that she didn't get this chance, or she can look at it as she was starting for us before she got hurt. Like, she was the guy that I wanted out there, and I thought she took a lot of strides in the off season to get herself ready. Her confidence was high, and right before she got hurt, I really felt like I was able to start relying on her as a defender. Maybe she'll never be an Erica Beverly, but she certainly had some stretches in games where she's blocking shots and she's like helping all over the place, and she really understands our defensive system. And so to lose her when we were struggling defensively was a really big hit for us. So hopefully she can carry that momentum and confidence in terms of where she was when she got hurt and bring that back next year as a senior and give us a lift at that post position. And then Alicia, she's through it all and for how many games she missed from being sick or being hurt, she found a way to get a role on this team, and she found a way to be consistent for us, and she was certainly someone we relied pretty heavily on at the end of the year. And I wasn't so sure I was going to be able to do that early in the year with her, but in that BU game, it was nice to have that confidence to just put her in and have her guard Chantel Alford and know what I could get from her on both ends of the floor. And so I really look for both of them to come back and have hopefully a really special senior year, but more importantly for themselves individually, have the best year that they've had since they've been here.
Now we know that there's not a bad thing to say about the senior class, Jackie, Mary, and Amanda. So try to sum it all up. Just obviously it's a big void to fill, but essentially, and as cliche as it sounds, they were kind of the glue that kept the team together.
They really were. I mean, they were the only guys I didn't have to worry about when we came back in September. All three of them were in shape. They were ready. They were confident. They were tremendous leaders. They have always taken care of themselves off the floor. Their commitment to the program, to recruiting, to everything that we do in the fall was 100%. So the reason I'm so happy things worked out for them is because nobody else was where they were back in September. There was nobody else that had the commitment that they had when they came back from the summer. So it was a long preseason. It was a long non-conference schedule for those three guys to have to put up with all of my antics and me pushing for the younger guys to get ready and to be ready to help us, because they were. So when everybody caught up to their level, their commitment level, and their level of intelligence and their level of maturity, that's when we finally started to really play great basketball. So I'm just really happy for them, because I don't know that I've had a senior class look and seem as happy as the three of these guys were over the last 2 weeks, and I'm glad that they were enjoying it so much, because it was pretty heartbreaking early in the season for them, and they got their due.
Now let's kind of go on a personal level. Obviously, each season brings new obstacles, new changes, and each coach can kind of reflect on each season. This had to be probably one of the biggest challenges for you, starting out struggling, and then things finally turned around. So just personally, how was this rank as far as your career in coaching?
It was definitely a tough year. I'm not really good with losing. I'm not. I know a lot. I know no coaches will say they like to lose, but I'm pretty miserable when we lose. And I finally felt that even though we were continuing to lose in December, I finally felt like we at least were starting to play the way that I envisioned us playing. So it didn't make it easier to lose, but at least I could see glimpses of this Hartford basketball team that I thought we would be. It was challenging. I had to stay patient. I had to find a way to keep Jackie, especially, kind of in it, like she was so disappointed and so took so much on her, and it was like, let me do my job, let me get these guys ready for you, I promise it'll turn around. So there's just a lot of different challenges for me in terms of even the guys that were playing well and doing things right. I still had to manage them and their disappointment in losing. So it was good. I mean, for every coach, you don't want it to always be the same. You're not going to grow as a coach if you don't have different things to challenge you. And, I feel like our staff works hard every year. Regardless of our record, we're trying to get better every year. We didn't work harder this year than
there we go.
We didn't work any harder this year than we've worked in years past. We just had to work in a different way and in a different level. And so I definitely give a lot of kudos to my staff for the work that they did, off the court, the work they did before practice and after practice to make sure that we were going to keep getting better throughout the season.
I think overall, this was probably one of the best seasons that I've been a part of, and congratulations on an excellent season.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Jennifer Rizzotti and Brian Arizari. Make sure you stay tuned with the women's hoop blog throughout the course of the offseason, as we'll give updates throughout the course of how the team is progressing. I'm Brian Arizari here on Hartford All Access.